Yeshayahu in Hebrew or Isaiah in English. You can see Jesus in so much of his book. And in chapter 11, you see the millennial reign of the Messiah, Jesus Christ, from Jerusalem, this physical reign and how the earth is restored. It's just absolutely amazing. So let's check it out. Here we go. Let's get into the scripture. Then a shoot will spring up from the stem of Jessie. What's the stem of Jessie? The line of David, right? Remember, Jesse was David's father, and he was of the tribe of Judah. Of course, that's where the Messiah is to come from. And a branch from his roots will bear fruit. You know, Jesus bare much good fruit. He healed the blind. He raised the dead. He preached the good news of God, the good news of himself coming to rescue humankind. And he died on the cross. The ultimate good fruit was Jesus dying on the cross and his resurrection to new life. He was the first fruits when he was raised from the dead, when he burst forth out of that tomb, and he was the first fruits of the newborn. And that gives us great hope as Christians because we will partake as part of that ourselves, you guys. So here's my new book. You can pre-order it right now. It's almost done, actually. And it's See Jesus in the Old Testament. It's very comprehensive. You'll see him in every book, and it's in the order of the Tanakh, right? The Jewish Old Testament, starting with the books of Moses, and then the prophets, and then the writings, like the Psalms, right? It's in that same order because Jesus put it in that order in Luke chapter 24. Jesus said, all of these speak of me, and he said in the books of Moses, the prophets, and the Psalms, and it's just amazing, right? So let's get back into this presentation in Isaiah. So, and a branch from his roots will bear fruit. From whose roots? Jesse's. And the Spirit of the Lord will rest on him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and strength, the Spirit of knowledge and the fear of the Lord. That means reverencing the Lord, not like afraid of him, but more reverencing him, in awe of him. And he will strike the earth with the rod of his mouth. Now, what does that speak of? You'll see that in Revelation, right? And with the breath of his lips, he will slay the wicked. That's all he has to do is exhale, and the wicked are gone. Also, righteousness will be the belt around his hips, and faithfulness the belt around his waist. And the wolf will dwell with the lamb. There we're looking at some millennial reign of Christ, the reigning king from Jerusalem, the Messiah, and the new temple that Ezekiel speaks much about, in that living river, the river of living water that flows out from under the altar and out of that east gate, as Ezekiel saw, with Joseph's name on it, by the way. You can watch my video on that. And then it flows down through that new gorge that's made right through the Mount of Olives, because it splits into the Dead Sea, and it heals the waters. But here we're seeing the wolf will dwell with the lamb. That's impossible right now, but this is a time of peace. Even in creation, even in nature out there, you're going to see the animals and the leaves and the trees and the streams. Everything will be healed during this amazing time when Jesus comes back and makes the earth perfect again. And the leopard will lie down with the young goat. This is all speaking of that awesome time, you guys. And the calf and the young lion and the fatted steer will be together, and a little boy will lead them. Isn't that awesome, you guys? You know, a lot of people think it's the lion lying down with the lamb, but it was actually the wolf lies down with the lamb, and he doesn't harm the lamb. And it's just, that's what the scripture says. A lot of people, I don't know how it happened. I used to do it too, but they say it's the lion and the lamb. No, it's a lion of the tribe of Judah, speaking of the Messiah, and he's also called the lamb. Maybe that's where it comes into play. But this scripture in Isaiah, speaking about the future, is all about this restored creation, and it's a wolf lying down with the lamb. And it says here, this is so awesome, and a little boy will lead them. That's so good. And also the cow and the bear will graze. So they'll both be eating grass together and there'll be no violence, right? And their young will lie down together and the lion will eat straw like the ox. The nursing child will play by the hole of a cobra and the weaned child will put his hand on the viper's den. And there will be no hurt. They will not hurt or destroy in all my holy mountain. So God makes it personal right here. He says, this is my holy mountain, and there will be no hurt, and there won't be any destruction on my holy mountain, is what God is saying. For the earth will be full of the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. So the whole world, as the waters cover the sea, the whole world is going to be full of the knowledge of the Lord. And then on that day, the nations will resort to the root of Jesse. Who's that? Oh yeah, that's right. Jesus, Yeshua, if you're in Israel. He was of the tribe of Judah, of the root of Jesse. And he who will stand as a signal flag for the peoples, and the resting place will be glorious. This is the best place I could find this background picture because it's this beautiful lake called Lake Tahoe. If you've never been there, it's just an amazing place. Crystal clear water, snow-capped mountains. And the smell there was like they have these pines that are sugar pines and these vanilla pines, and you could actually smell it in the air. It's just an amazing place. In fact, Mark Twain said it's the same air that angels breathe. So this place is just beautiful. And it reminds me of the millennial reign of Christ when he comes back and how beautiful and glorious his resting place will be. So good. And he will lift up a flag and for the nations and assemble the banished ones of Israel. What is he talking about right there? He's talking about bringing Israel back as a nation, and they will serve him and they'll live perfectly with him and with the bride of Christ too, right? The bride of Christ is the church, his followers, and it'll be beautiful. Just like Joseph's story, he had a Gentile bride. I'm sure she was not upset that Joseph was saving Israel, right? His whole family threw him under the bus earlier, his brothers, and he forgives them and shows great mercy and grace to them, giving them the best of the land. And that's what we're going to see with Jesus as well, because Joseph was a picture and a type of Christ. So Israel today, right there, you could see what it looks like, the footprint of it, about that big, right? And it's not a big place, about the size of New Jersey, but it's going to be much bigger during this millennial reign. Watch this. So this is the reign during King Solomon right here. And it was much bigger, about 2-3 times bigger than what you see Israel today. That was the greatest time in Israel's history as far as prosperity and land mass. But during the reign of Christ, it's all of this land right here. This is all the land that God promised to Israel, and it will be fulfilled when Jesus rules and reigns from Jerusalem right here, and all the nations from the four corners of the world come to worship him. That's amazing stuff, guys. And will gather the dispersed of Judah. So he's going to gather those who were dispersed of Judah and from the four corners of the earth. And there will be a highway from Assyria for the remnant of his people who will be left. So there'll be a highway from Assyria was up in this area right here, right? And there's a highway that's going to come all the way down to Jerusalem, and it's going to be for his people Israel and for his bride. So just as there was for Israel on the day that they came up out of the land of Egypt, just as it was for them, and that's what we're going to see during this millennial reign of Christ. It's going to be an amazing, amazing time, you guys. I can't wait for it. But this is what this chapter in Isaiah is just all about. It's this beautiful time of, in fact, chapter 12 is too, but of this time of the millennial reign of Christ from Jerusalem, physically from Jerusalem. He will do it. It's going to be so good. So, hey, click this playlist right here and you can see all of the places where Jesus is found in the Old Testament. It's all free content. You can subscribe down below, all free. If you wish to support this ministry that I'm doing, you can click on the little sign down there to give. If you wish, you don't have to. There's no pressure on that, but it will just help me get new camera equipment and other things like that to improve this channel and to get it out there. So, hey, God bless you. Don't forget, click on this playlist right here, How to Find Jesus in the Old Testament, and don't forget to subscribe.